A week into this crisis and the Prime Minister is under siege from all angles. Allegations about lobbying, what he might have said about lockdowns, and most problematically now, who paid for his number 11 flat to be done up. Today, the Electoral Commission announced a formal investigation into the funding of the renovations, saying they're satisfied that there are reasonable grounds to suspect that an offence or offences may have occurred. It led to explosive exchanges at Prime Minister's questions.
That's incredibly serious. Can the Prime Minister tell the House, does he believe that any rules or laws have been broken?
Prime Minister.
No, I don't, Mr. Speaker. And he goes on, Mr. Speaker, about wallpaper when, as I've told him umpteen times now, I paid for it.
I asked the Prime Minister again, who paid the initial invoice?
Mr. Speaker, I've given him the answer, and the answer is I have covered the costs, and I think most people will find it absolutely bizarre. And, of course, there's an Electoral Commission investigating this, and I can tell him that I've conformed in full with the Code of Conduct.
The Prime Minister didn't give every appearance of someone enjoying the line of questioning.
And above all, taking back control of our country has allowed us to deliver the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe, as he well knows, Mr. Speaker.
There is an annual allowance of £30,000 to do up the Prime Minister's flat above Downing Street here. We know that Boris Johnson's home decor went above that, and he has now paid the excess himself. What is still strangely murky is whether a Tory donor or even the Tory party paid initially. And there are now 3 separate investigations into an issue you would have thought the Prime Minister could clear up himself. This is what the number 11 flat looked like under David Cameron, who spent much less on it. But decor like this by interior designer Lulu Little, favoured by the Prime Minister's fiancée, clearly does not come cheap. Now it will also be the task of the newly appointed advisor on ministerial standards, Lord Geidt, former Private Secretary to the Queen, to look into who paid what when. This former Standards chair believes the Prime Minister's actions warrant scrutiny.
He hasn't got a very good track record of keeping to rules. He clearly is irritated by them. Most of us, if we're going to carry out a refurbishment in our property, we check we've got the money first.
And that's not the only problem brewing. The Labour leader also wanted to know whether the Prime Minister had said that he'd rather let bodies pile high than order another lockdown.
No, Mr. Speaker.
Well, somebody here isn't telling the truth. The House will have heard the Prime Minister's answer, and I remind him the Ministerial Code says, and I quote, ministers who knowingly mislead Parliament will be expected to offer their resignation.
Those who claim the Prime Minister did say such a thing suggest they're prepared to give evidence on oath. None of these issues are going away for Mr Johnson, no matter how much he might wish it. Romilly Weeks, News at 10.